Welcome to the Story Apothecary, a podcast filled with healing and medicinal stories. My name is Nana Tomova, and I'm a traditional storyteller and a pharmacist, and stories are medicines which I dispense. In this podcast, you'll find my prescriptions of stories for the body, mind, heart, soul, and for the earth. So I invite you to join me as we enter the healing world of stories together. Hello and welcome to 2026, and welcome to another season of the Story Apothecary. It's been quite a silence for the past few months. I have been working on a project which I hope to be able to reveal to you in the next few weeks, or at least tell you a little bit about it. And it's meant that all my energy for everything else creative has just been fallow. But we're back with another season of what I hope to be monthly stories once again here at the Story Apothecary. And I wanted to start with one which is very appropriate for this time of year, and one which I have been meaning to record for a number of years. It is a story of Persephone and her abduction and the Underworld. It is one of the most beautiful stories of ancient Greek mythology, which I'm sure that many of you are familiar of. I hope that you enjoy the first story of a year in a period of winter, for of course it is the perfect season for this story. Without further ado, here is the tale of Persephone in the Underworld. This is the story of Demeter and her daughter Persephone. Persephone, the one with beautiful hair, with delicate ankles. Persephone, who was given away by her father Zeus, the loud thunderer, the god that sees far and wide. But you see, Hades was looking for a bride, and Hades went to his brother Zeus to ask for advice for who he can pick for a bride, and Zeus suggested his daughter Persephone herself. Well, Hades liked that idea, and he has sought the permission of the father, and so he went to look for Persephone. Persephone was having a great time. She was along with other women, and she was picking flowers, roses, crocus, beautiful violets. Up and down the soft meadow she went barefooted. Iris blooms she also picked, and hyacinth. And then the narcissus she saw, which was grown as a lure for the flower-faced girl by Gaia, Earth herself. You see, Gaia was doing a favour for one who receives many guests in the underworld, Hades himself. The narcissus was a wondrous flower full of splendour. To look at it gives one a sense of holy awe to the immortal gods as well as mortal humans. It has 100 heads growing from the root all the way up, and its fragrance so sweet, it spreads over the wide heavens up above, and the earth below smiles back in all its radiance. So does too the salty sea. Such is the beauty of a Narcissus. And Persephone, seeing it for the very first time, she had been walking up and down those fields, those meadows. But seeing it, she was filled with a sense of wonder. She reached out with both her hands to take hold of his beautiful flower. And as she did, her delicate fingers reaching towards its stem, plucking it from the meadows, bringing the cup close to her nose and inhaling. Just as she did that, the earth opened up under her feet. It was the Lord who received many guests. It was Hades himself. Hades was riding on a chariot drawn by immortal horses, the one who was known by many names. He seized Persephone. He took her against her will. He put her on his golden chariot, and he drove away as she wept, as she screamed, as she bellowed. She cried with such a piercing voice, calling upon her father Zeus, the highest and the best, calling for her mother. But none of the immortal ones, none of the mortal ones even heard her voice. Not even the olive trees, which bear their splendid harvest, heard her voice. No one heard her. Not a single soul heard her. Not a single being heard her, except for one. The one who keeps in mind the vigor of nature. Hecate. She heard it from her cave. She heard Persephone's piercing screams from her cave. And one other heard it. The Lord Helios, the sun himself, heard it. They heard the daughter calling upon her father. They heard Persephone calling for her father Zeus. But he, all by himself, seated apart from all the gods inside a temple, he was receiving beautiful sacrificial rites. He did not listen. Persephone being taken against her will, dragged against her will, at the permission given by her father Zeus. By her father's brother, she was being dragged by Hades, the lord of the underworld, the one who has many names, the one who receives many guests. She was being dragged on a chariot drawn by immortal horses. Persephone looked. Her eyes filled with tears, but she looked, and she thought, as long as the earth and the star-filled sky are still within my view, as long as the fish-swarming sea with its strong currents, as long as the rays of sun are still within my view, as long as I see them in my mind's eye, I still have hope. I still have hope that I will see my dear mother. And her great mind was soothed by hope, as distressed as she was. The peaks of the mountains resounded. So did the depths of the sea with her immortal voice. And finally, her mother, Demeter, heard her. A deep grief seized her heart. She tore off the headband of her hair with her immortal hands. She threw the dark cloak over her shoulders. She sped off like a bird, soaring over land and soaring over sea, looking and searching, pleading for anyone to tell her what they had seen, what had happened to her precious daughter, her only daughter, Persephone. But no one was willing to tell her the truth. Not one of the gods, not one of the mortals, not one of the birds, not one of the messengers of truth. Day after day, the lady Demeter, she wandered over the earth, holding torches ablaze in her hands. For 9 days she walked over the earth. Not once did Demeter take ambrosia and nectar. Not once did she drink that sweet drink. Not once, in her grief, did she bathe her skin in water. On the 10th day, after 9 days of searching, Hecate came to her, holding a light ablaze in her hands. Lady Demeter, spoke Hecate, bringer of day, giver of splendid gifts. Which one of the gods who dwell in the sky, which one of the mortal humans sees Persephone and brought grief to you? I heard the sounds, but I did not see with my own eyes who it was. But I came to tell you what I know. And so Hecate told her what she knew, but Demeter did not speak. Instead, Demeter joined Hecate. Hand by hand, quickly set out, both of them, holding torches ablaze in their hands. They went to find the one that sees all with his eyes, Helios, the god of the sun. They stood in front of his chariot. The resplendent goddess asked this question, Helios, show me respect. If ever I have pleased your heart in word or deed, please. It is about my daughter, the girl that was born to me, a sweet young seedling, so renowned for her beauty. I cannot unhear that piercing cry in my ears. It is resounding through the boundless ether, please. I can hear her cries. I know she is being forced. Although I did not see it with my eyes, please help me. I turn to you, you who ranges above all the skies, above all the earth, above all the sea. You look down, up above from the heavens, with your sunbeams, with your many eyes. Tell me, please tell me who has taken my daughter, who has taken my Persephone away from me by force against her will, who? Tell me. Oh, Queen Demeter, I will tell you, for I greatly respect you, and I feel in my heart the grief which you're feeling, the sorrow over your child, your daughter. No one among all the immortals is responsible, except the cloud gatherer himself, Zeus, who gave Persephone to Hades as his beautiful wife. He gave her to his own brother. And so Hades is heading in the misty realms of darkness. He seized her. He took your daughter as he drove his chariot, and she screamed out loud. But he did not stop. But I urge you now, goddess, said Helios, stop your loud cry of lamentation. Do not give anger without bounds, all in vain. It is not unseemly to have of all the mortals such a son-in-law as Hades. And Demeter listened, but only partly. She heard the name that she needed to hear. She tried to make plans. She was visited by anger and grief as she thought of the hound of Hades. And it was even more terrifying than before to think the one who is known for his dark clouds, him, the king of the underworld, her only daughter's husband. Demeter went away. She went away disguised as an old woman visiting cities of humans, with her fertile blonde holding shading over her appearance for a long time. Not a single man, not a single woman, not a single child could recognize her. She travelled. Many days, many weeks, many months, many stories. Meanwhile, Persephone, the beautiful daughter of Demeter, she had been taken past Cerberus, the many-headed dog that guarded the entrance of the underworld. Persephone had been taken over the river Styx. She was ferried by Charon the ferryman. And there, in the dark, gloomy places of the king of the dead, the king of the underworld, she was released at last from Hades' iron grip. She ran in every direction. Her eyes darted up and down, left and right, but there was no way out. Weeping, weeping, she pleaded to be returned to the bright and flowering fields, to the warmth of her mother, to the companionship of her friends, to the world that she knew, to the place that she called home. But Hades would not. She had been given to him by her father, by his own brother. She belonged to him now. She was his wife. He led her into a banqueting hall and set before her a feast fit for a queen. But she did not want to eat. Her mouth shut, closed. Not a single bite, not a single morsel of food entered those lips. Upon her head, Hades placed a jeweled crown, fit for a queen. But she took it off. She did not want to be this queen. All she wanted was her home. She refused everything. Pale and hungry, weak and thirsty. All she could hear is her heartbeat inside her chest. But she still refused everything. The minutes seemed like hours. The hours seemed like days. The days seemed like years. She paced because she could not sit still, even though she was hungry, even though she was tired. She wept. Whole lakes fell from her eyes. What a fate. But Persephone was in the underworld, time passing in its own speed, its own pace. Demeter, her mother, walked in disguise. The days, the weeks, the months as she walked, they were terrible for humanity. They built a temple for her in her honor. They prayed to her for her mercy. But that year was the most terrible one for mortals. Up to then, it had been eternal spring, eternal summer. The fields were fertile. The grains gave, the boughs of the trees reaching over filled with heavy fruit. There were so many apples and so many pomegranates and so many olives and so much wheat in the fields. But for that year, while Demeter was looking for her daughter, that year was so terrible. So terrible that it makes you think of the hound of Hades. During that year, the earth did not send up a single seed. Demeter, with a beautiful garland in her hair, kept the seeds covered underground, just like her daughter. If her daughter was underground, then the seeds would be underground. Many a curved plough were dragged across the fields by many an ox, but in vain. Nothing happened. Many grains of wheat fell into the earth, but for nothing. Nothing took and nothing grew. At this moment, Demeter could have destroyed an entire population of humans with harsh hunger, depriving them of nourishment. Zeus noticed that people were not bringing sacrificial meat for eating, for burning. Zeus noticed that there were not many gifts laid out in his name. And so he was curious and asked about what was happening. Why were the humans not giving gifts in his name, in his honor? When he learned, he summoned Demeter, but Demeter was not persuaded. Zeus sent out all immortal gods, one by one. They kept calling out to her, offering her many beautiful gifts. But she declined. Not a single one could persuade her in her thinking, on her intention, for she was still angry. She said she would never go to the fragrant Olympus. She would never send up the harvest of the earth. Never. Until she saw with her own bright eyes, the hair, the wrists, the lips, the face, the ankles, the beauty of her daughter. When Zeus heard this, when the loud thunderer heard this, when the one who sees far and wide heard this, he sent to Hades, the one with a golden wand. Hermes, the fast-footed, so that he may persuade Hades with gentle words, that he may allow Persephone to leave the misty realms of darkness of the underworld and be brought up to light again, to join her mother, so that finally Demeter might let go of her anger when she sees her with her own eyes, when she feels her with her own heart. Hermes went. He headed down beneath the depths of the earth, down where the darkness reigns, rushing at full speed. He found the Lord of Darkness, the Lord of the Dead, inside his place. He was seated on a funeral couch, along with his duly acquired bedmate, the one who was much under duress, the one who yearned for her mother, the one suffering from unbearable things inflicted on her by the will of the blessed ones. As Hermes went near to Hades, he spoke to him. Hades, he said, dark-haired one, the king of the dead, Zeus orders that I have splendid Persephone brought up to light, back to him, back to his company, back to her mother, so that Demeter can see her with her own eyes and let go of her wrath and the terrifying fate that she has brought upon the mortals. For she is performing a mighty deed to destroy the tribes of the earthborn, causing them to be without food, for all the seeds are hiding underground. She is destroying the root. She is destroying the harvest of the immortal gods. She is destroying the reverence the people leave for the gods. Demeter has a terrifying anger, and she refuses to keep company with any of the other gods. Instead, she's far removed She is seated inside a temple fragrant with incense that people built for her. And so Hermes continued to speak, to describe, to tell the story. He was quite convincing. And Hades, king of the dead, smiled with his brows. He gave a knowing smile. He did not disobey the order of Zeus the king. But he also had other plans. He gave an order to Persephone. Go, he said to his beloved. Go to your mother. Go to her. Have a kindly disposition in your breast. Do not be too upset. I will be not an unseemly husband to you if you decide to stay in the company of the immortals. I am the brother of Zeus, your father. If you live here, you will be the queen of everything that lives and moves. You will have the greatest honours in the company of immortals. And those that violate the rites, that do not put sacrifice in your name, performing the rituals in a reverent way, they will get punished. And so he spoke, and the high-minded Persephone rejoiced in hearing the words that she will see the light of day again. Though she will see the eyes of her mother, that she will feel the tender hands of her mother. Swiftly she set out, with joy this time, not with grief, not with tears. But Hades, before letting her go, gave her stealthily the honey-sweet berry of the pomegranate to eat, peering around him. He did not want her to stay for all time over there, at the sight of her honourable mother. And so the immortal horses were harnessed to the golden chariot by Hades. She got up on the chariot and was taken up back out of the place of Hades, and the horses sped away eagerly. Swiftly they made their way along the long journey up. Neither the sea, nor the water of the rivers, nor the grassy valleys of the mountains' peak could hold up the onrush of the immortal horses. High over peaks they went, slicing through the vast air like a knife. Finally, the chariot halted at the place where Demeter, with the beautiful garlets in her hair, stayed. She heard. She looked. When she saw them, she rushed forth like a maenad down the wooded mountain slope. But when the earth starts blooming with fragrant flowers of springtime, flowers of every sort, then it is that you must come up from the misty realms of darkness. Once again a great thing of wonder to gods and mortal humans alike. But what kind of ruse was used to deceive by the powerful one? The one who receives many guests. Demeter was told by her daughter Persephone what had happened. She told her she had sprung up for joy, but her husband had put the hand of the berry of the pomegranate, the honey sweet food, and he had compelled her by force to eat it. And Persephone did, having refused food for so many days, not knowing what it meant, not knowing that because she had eaten something from the underworld, she now belonged to the underworld. And so Persephone recounted the whole story of her abduction, of how she was with a lovely meadow picking flowers with all her companions, with Artemis too, and Athena, As they were playing, gathering lovely flowers in their hands, she was joyous when the earth beneath her gave way, and there it was that he sprang out, the powerful lord that receives many guests. It was very much against my will, said Persephone to her mother. I cried with a piercing voice. And I heard it, daughter, said her mother Demeter. And this is how the two women, mother and daughter, spent the whole day, telling stories, recounting the horrors that had happened. They gladdened greatly in each other's heart. They hugged each other. They received joy from each other. They gave joy too. Then Hecate approached them, and she welcomed back the daughter of holy Demeter with many embraces. And from that day forward, Hecate became Persephone's attendant and substitute queen. Then the loud thundering Zeus, who sees far and wide, sent to them a messenger to bring Demeter to join the special company of the gods. And Zeus assented that her daughter, every time the season came round, would spend a third portion of the year in the realms of the dark mists underneath, and the other 2/3 in the company of her mother and the other immortals. And this is how it was. When you had looked at the life-bringing fertile spot of land in former times, how beautiful, how verdant it had been. But now it was no longer life-giving, but stood idle, completely without green growth. The bright grain of wheat had stayed hidden underneath through the mental power of Demeter, she who had grieved so for her daughter. But from this point on, it began straightway to flourish with long ears of grain as the springtime was increasing its power. On the field, the fertile furrows began to be overflown with cut-down ears of grain lying on the ground, while the rest of what was cut down was already bound into sheaths. And it was agreed that Persephone would spend a quarter of the year down in the underworld with the Hades, the king of the dead, the one who has many guests, the one who has many names. And during that time her mother Demeter would grieve and nothing would grow. The land would be dead. The land would have no fruit, no grain, no flower, as Demeter's heart was so heavy with her daughter, and that season would be called winter. But as Persephone emerges forth and spends 3/4 of the year up with her mother Demeter, then all would be in bloom, and all the wide earth would be laden with leaves and blossoms. This is how it was then, and this is still how it is now. And although we are in winter, there will be spring once more. It is a story, of course, that requires not much explanation. A story of how the seasons were formed, a story of change, a reminder that after every winter there will be spring once more. A story unlike that one of Inanna, the queen of the underworld, which goes in a very similar way. a tale of hope, a tale of grief, a tale of darkness, and one of overcoming all sorts of obstacles. A tale of the seasons, many thousands of years old, that is still relevant to this day. And may, as you walk the paths, the roads, may it serve as a reminder the darkness is a season, and after darkness, everything will bloom, and everything will grow, and after grief, there is joy, and there is love, and there is always spring. Thank you to In Feathers as always for the beautiful music. Thank you for choosing to spend a wee while listening to this tale. I hope that you carry it with you like a treasure in your pocket, and I look forward to seeing you soon next month for the beautiful few weeks. And come again, and maybe bring a friend. See you soon. Go well. Goodbye for now.